Okay guys, I'm going to take the Project Core vocabulary block, what, done by periods 5, 6, and I'm going to turn it into a 3-part mold so that we will be able to utilize a pourable polyurethane rubber so we can get around our tactility problem. So I'm going to start here by saving it as a new. So I'm going to save as, I'm going to do it, what mold. Now, this is going to end up being 3 different pieces, but for right now, we're just going to call it what mold and save. That way, I'm not changing what was already done. So now I can go ahead and do this. All right. So these have all been standardized by the students here. We're in good shape. I'm going to start by creating a new sketch. I'm going to choose the XZ plane, and then I'm going to do a center rectangle. And I'm going to do a common rectangle. I'm going to do it 1.8 by 1.8 inches. 1.8 tab 1.8 enter. I'm going to go ahead and finish that sketch, and then I'm going to extrude it. Now on the extrusion, I'm going to do 2 sides. I'm going to do this, the top side, I'm going to take up 0.75 inches, 0.75, and then I'm going to go and grab the bottom arrow and take it down 0.25. Then I'm going to set it to do it as a new body and hit OK. So what I now have here is I now have 2 bodies over here. The one is the first one, which is just simply, I'll rename it what, and body 2 is going to be what mold. Now I'm going to right click on what mold here and turn its opacity down to 50%. So I can come down to opacity control and go to 50%. And you can see that I have that in there. Now what I want to do is I want to subtract out that shape what, leaving a hollow shell in there, which is ultimately going to be filled by our rubber as it flows in there. I'm going to do that with the combine tool. That's underneath modify. I'm going to go to combine. Now for my target body, I'm going to choose what mold. And then for my tool body, I'm going to choose what, and then I'm going to tell it to cut that out of there. I'm going to make sure that I check new component and keep tools and hit OK. All right. Now it's created a new component and it's got some strange things going on here. So I'm going to hit the drop down here under component, and under bodies, I'm going to turn this opacity back up. So opacity control 100%, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility on what and what mold. So now I have a block here, and you can't tell, but there is an empty shape inside here that's missing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of close that up where I can't have to see that I have as much going on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split this body into 2 parts, a top and a bottom. I'm going to do that by adding a construction plane. I'm going to add a construction plane, offset. I'm going to offset that plane from this bottom plane, and I'm going to offset it a distance of negative 0.28 inches. It is the 0.25 from the bottom, and then there's another 0.03 there that represents the depth of the embossed letters that have the word what on the bottom of this object. That is very specifically chosen. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to come up to modify, split body. The body to split is this block, and the splitting tool will be this plane that I just created. I'm going to hit OK and OK. So now I'm going to go ahead. I have 2 objects. I'm going to have this. I'm going to rename this to what mold top and what mold bottom. Now, if I turn off some visibility here, say I turn off the bottom and take a look up in there, you're going to be able to see that indeed there's a nice shell in there. Now, at this point, I want to go ahead and be able to align these objects. If I look at the bottom one, I need this and this, and I need them to be sure to align. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on some spheres to serve as my registration. So with the top turned off, I'm going to go ahead and add some spheres here to create some registration points here. So I'm going to click on this face here, and then I'll go to that top view, and I'm going to create a sphere right there. I'm going to make it 0.25. I'll go ahead and select this as a join. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a pattern, a circular pattern. I'll choose that as my object. I'm going to get up here and, whoops, that faces, but features, that'll be my feature. For the axis, I'll select this axis. I'll put 4, and you can see that puts 4 spheres in the corner here. That's nice. Now I'll go ahead and turn the visibility on for that, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the opacity down to 50%, and I'm going to put the corresponding, I'm going to make a cut. So I'm actually going to recreate this piece here. So this will be, I'm going to modify, combine, I'm going to use as my target body, this is going to be my top here, as my tool body, I'm going to use this. It's going to go as a cut. I'm going to have this checked and this checked. I'm going to hit OK. It created a new component. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility on that What Mold top. And then come down to here, and this is What Mold top. I'm going to turn this opacity up to 100%. And then I'll hide the bottom and take a look, and it should have, yep, I got my spheres cut in there. So right now I have that. Now, if I were to mold like this in 2 parts, I'd have a heck of a time extracting the rubber from this top. Once I pull the molds apart, the fact that these dimpled spheres on the outside of this are on both sides, I would really have a lot of trouble getting out of there. So I'm actually going to split now the top also. So I have that going. So while I'm going to go here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to split this body. So I'm going to say split body. This is the body I'm going to be. For my splitting tool, I'm going to come over and I'll use the plane right down the middle of them and hit OK. And now I've added a couple new ones. So I'm going to change this one to What Mold top right. And this one I'm going to change to What Mold top left. I'm going to go ahead and do registration marks or registration for this one also. So I'm going to go ahead and create spheres, and I'll place a sphere here on this face. I'm going to come in right there. I'm going to do it as a join, and then I'm going to, rather than pattern, I'll use the mirror function, put one on the other side. So I'll choose feature. I'm going to choose this feature, and for my mirror plane, I'm going to choose that plane. Hit OK, and now I have 2 of them. So now I have to do the same thing. I'm going to turn this one back on and turn its opacity down to 50%. It just helps me to see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to use the combine tool to basically cut out those 2 spheres. So my target body is going to be this one here. My tool body will be that one there. And I want to do it as a cut, make sure component and tools are cut, and I'm going to hit OK. Now I'll go ahead and turn the opacity back up on this one. That's the 3rd component. So this one I'm going to turn off altogether. And then under bodies here, this new one I just made, I'm going to turn that back up to 100%. So now at this point, if I were to pull those apart, I can see that those will indeed fit together perfectly. All right, I'm going to just hit the back arrow to put them back together. I'll turn on the bottom here. There's a lot of components going on here. So these are the 3 parts that I want. I got to be careful that I make sure those are the ones that are there. So I'm going to go ahead and save that or rename them here so I don't get them confused. I'm going to go to this mold bottom, which is the one I want. I'm going to put final. I'm going to come to this one, the left. That is the final. And then this one is final. All right, my last step is going to be I need to be able to pour into this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility on the two tops, and I'm actually going to pour them from the bottom. So what I want to be able to do here is I want to be able to pour into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two holes, one for rubber to come in and one for air to escape. So I'm going to sketch here on this surface right here. I'm going to put two holes, one there, and it doesn't really matter their size. They're on the bottom, so they won't give me too much. I'm going to make them 0.2. I'll put enter, and I'll put another one down here, 0.2, enter. I'm going to finish the sketch, and then I'm going to extrude those two. Being careful to select that. A little fussy grabbing it here. That one. And I'm going to just drag them down so they're going as a cut. I'm going to hit OK. If I flip it over, I'll see that I'll be able to pour in right through there. Well, that's going to allow me to do that. So this piece is going to go ahead and be finished now. So at this point, I'm going to turn on the visibility for what pull final, and, or let's see, right, and that's on there. So I can see I'm going to be able to pour into there. It's going to fill that mold. Air will be, I'll pour into this one. Air will be able to come in there. As long as I have this clamped together, it's going to work fine. The last thing I'm going to have to do is I'll be able to right click on each one of these and go to, I should go to the component, right click, and I can save as a mesh, and I will save it as an STL binary. I'll move that refinement to high, and I'll be able to save these pieces as STLs to be 3D printed.